Hello, RP people, and welcome back to another episode of Role Playing as Smart People, the podcast where we pretend to know what we're talking about when it comes to all things tabletop. My name is Santa, and thanks for tuning in again today. Damn, it's so close, man. So close. I don't even know why I did that one wrong. I'm psyching myself out. So joining us today, we have Scott W., Mr. Finder, and Dave Thaumavore. Say hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh God! Eventually, guys. Eventually, it's only.
It sounded
20.
fine to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm psyching myself out or something. It's only been 20 plus episodes already. Yeah. So on tonight's topic, we're actually going to have a fun little conversation about system versus setting, which is really more important. But before we get started, Dave, I've been following your YouTube for a while, but why don't you tell the audience who may not know you about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Dave. I have a little YouTube channel where I review mostly third-party and indie RPGs. I've been doing that for about 3 years, maybe 4 years now. And it's been a lot of fun. I've been able to share a lot of what I do. My format is, I read through this game, and my more recent videos are more in depth, but I basically just kind of run through the game and then just give my 2 cents at the end. It's just reviews, but yeah, I don't know. It's been great to be able to dive in, and there's really no end to it, to the depth of this niche. I keep digging and digging, and I haven't been able to see the end of it, which is great. It's a great problem to have, because I'm doing backstrokes and all kinds of amazing games, and it's just quite the journey so far.
Yeah, no doubt. That's one thing. We're kind of almost like in a renaissance of tabletop games, especially with the help of like Kickstarter and everything like that, where you can go on there, you can find a new one almost all the time. Drive through RPG, if you really want to try and find a certain type of style, there's a good chance you're going to find it. Before this, we were talking about how Winnie the Pooh has just become public domain, and we're just waiting for the first one of that to drop.
Yeah. I read that there's this website that keeps up with just basic statistics on Kickstarter, but in a 25-day period this year, in April, this person recorded something like 25 RPGs and like another 17 D&D 5e supplements in that 1 month. So that's, if you don't even count 5e, that's like one RPG a day getting introduced on Kickstarter. And that's just Kickstarter. That's not even mentioning the non-crowdfunded stuff, or the stuff on Indiegogo and all that. So it's a deluge, to say the least.
Well, Scott, you're technically in that list, I guess, Dave.
Yeah, I'm part of the problem. This is outstanding.
I don't know if I would consider it a problem.
Well, whatever.
It's an addiction. You're forcing me and Finder just to buy more stuff on Kickstarter.
Well, from that end, I can't control what you do. But I told you guys, I have other friends who, I've worked with before, and it's just like they'll come in and be like, "The X has backed your thing," and I'm like, text them like, "What the fuck are you doing? Stop! I love you guys, but you don't have to do this."
Well, yeah, I remember when I was like, "Well, I backed it." Finder, same thing. He was just like, "Yeah, I backed it too," and you're like, "You guys get it for free. Why the hell are you doing this?"
Yeah, I mean, you guys are literally playing through it before anyone else, So, no, I mean, it's all about love, and I appreciate it, and it's nice. But yeah, it's like, oh man, but it is tough to keep up.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's official. It's the second week in a row that you've mentioned that you love us, Scott.
No,
yeah. Oh,
it's all right. I love Dave's last video. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but the title alone is just like,
What was your last title, Dave? I haven't been on YouTube actually in the whole weekend.
Well, I've been getting into more provocative thumbnails,
Yeah.
and so because that helps the viewership or whatever. And the title or the thumbnail was, "Is OSE boring?"
Oh,
And
I did see that one.
and the week before that was OSE is weird.
Yeah.
So,
Fucking dying.
That's old school essentials, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically BX and with some AD&D 1E
Yeah.
mixed in.
Yeah. They just cleaned everything up because the Little
Yeah.
Brown books were a nightmare to read. So. Oh man.
I'll tell you this. I don't mean to throw shade at my viewers, but I don't know if I have like a core set. A lot of the people who watch my videos are not subscribers. They just come and go.
Sure.
The OSE people are very opinionated.
What a fucking shocker.
Yeah. A lot of
offshoots from
corrections.
5e are opinionated.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them were not super nice, but
Yeah.
then there was also a huge number of people, like what I call pedantic, like just people correcting me. It was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, you're in a safe space here. We bitch about every single system equally. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, you guys can correct me on anything. I don't know shit. To be honest.
No, but the cool part is like you said, is I know before Santa wants to get on the topic, but like you're one of the, when you said when you go through it and read it, because I've had to go through, like, your videos are some of the ones that pop up soonest when I'm looking for a certain topic, and like the Genesis stuff.
Yeah,
there's stuff out there, but it's not like, I mean, you've spent time on Genesis because this system is like, oh my god, it's totally free. They're losing all their money. They're closing shop because of how they went through, but. But it's like, okay, cool. I want to see the actual plays. I want to see someone's opinion who've actually read through the books, because I'm not going to do that myself. So it's things like that I think is super helpful.
Yeah, I think my mission subconsciously, and now it's just in the front of my mind, is I want to make videos that I would watch.
Yeah.
So I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch a bunch of. I just want to watch. I want facts. I want them tightly edited. I want all just the facts, ma'am. Like, just give me the information.
Yeah.
And I've switched to a new format where I'm doing like more of like a page through, which is even more pure, because then people can just pause and read it for themselves. But I'm also kind of summarizing it with my words. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
With your understanding, right? Because that's always a big thing too. So it's always interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like even like changing up of like, because we've even changed up a little bit how we do things. I used to write up like all the questions that we're going to say right off the hop, and then I kind of realized it just became a little bit too strict, and then I tried no questions whatsoever, and I was like, I'm still not. So now I just like, I literally have like, today I have 2 questions just in case conversation slows down, but I don't think that's going to be an issue today.
What?
Yeah, I think we're doing good.
As long as we all keep drinking.
There you go.
Are you guys drinking? Because I am.
Yeah, I actually got some homemade wine.
Nice.
Oh shit! Look at that.
Homemade.
No.
Nice.
Does lukewarm tap water count?
Depends. Are you in Flint?
Oh damn!
Ouch.
Damn! Our one Flint listener is gonna be so pissed off.
I don't actually know if we. Where's Flint? That's Michigan, right?
Oh my god! No, first off, keep our fucking Flint at your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Michigan. I thought so.
Yeah, of course it is.
I feel bad for the people there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Also, I don't actually think we have any listeners from Michigan.
Look, man, it's fine. You don't have to explain yourself. We've said far worse. If this episode goes the way of the Why You Should GM episode, when right in the middle of it, we shit on fucking people's opinion, this should be great.
That's fair. That's fair. So, should we get to the main question of the day?
No.
All right. Now let's sit here and just awkward silence.
Shit on Flint.
There you go.
Shit on Flint.
Fuck. Yeah, just keep piling it on.
Hey, I'm not shitting on Flint, just their water.
You better get fucking rolling before they come and get you.
Okay. So, as I said before, in case anyone's forgot, we're discussing system versus setting. So,
Thank you, because I
in the
totally forgot.
You're an idiot.
okay. So I figure we just go around and see what everyone's opinion on which they think is the most important for themselves. So let's start with you, Dave.
Oh, for me personally, system versus setting. Um, Damn, I don't know.
Right? I know.
Yeah, so okay, actually, this is okay, I have a very very recent, in fact, my most recent video that I just cut and finished was the 5e Simbaroom game,
Oh.
Ruins of Simbaroom by Free League. And
Mhm.
that's, Simbaroom is a game that was published with its own system, and it was very successful, and then it was published in English, and then they just released it with 5e rules. And in that case, the setting outshines, like, I don't like, the setting is so good that I kind of didn't hate 5e that much while I was reading it. I was just okay, I was okay with it. And it's been a long time since that's happened. Like, I've been anti 5e for a while. But in that case, the setting was cool. I'd play Ruins of Simbaroom because of the setting. So there's a half-assed answer for you.
You know, though, on that topic, I almost feel like 5e. Now, I haven't read it. I have it because I, of course, had to back it because it's Free League, and hey, I love Free League. And so I backed it. I haven't read it. I just got the books. But having played Simbaroom in the original setting, I feel, and I could be wrong, but I feel like 5e is going to change the gameplay because 5e is more. I'm gonna use the word heroic. It's more high fantasy in nature than what Simbaroom was. Such a dark setting, and our entire party died within, oh man, it was like 4 or 5, maybe 6 sessions. We had a total party kill, and it was mostly us doing it to ourselves because of cursed magic items and all sorts of crap. It was an amazing game. Had a total blast. Um, but it's so dark and it's such a deadly setting. I feel like 5e is gonna 5e would like alter that dynamic because the heroes are harder to kill, uh, that sort of thing. But
Right.
I don't
Well,
know.
in this case, I can't say this for all 5e, third party 5e games, but in this case, the authors tried to make it more deadly. They added a corruption mechanic, so
Oh,
you're
nice.
constantly, every time you cast, basically you're running the risk of picking up temporary and permanent corruption, and corruption is haunting you constantly.
Yeah.
And you get it, pick up enough permanent corruption, and your character's is forfeit. And they've also kind of upped the deadliness of the monsters, although I can't, they claim that in the book, but I haven't played the game, so I don't know if that's true or not. But they tried to make it more deadly.
I hope they succeeded because it's an awesome
Yeah.
setting. To your point,
Which
I
is to
love.
say, they tried to neutralize what 5e's problems are. So they tried to fight against the system that they adopted, which is
I mean, the suspicious person in me says that's a cash grab.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's a cash grab for somebody that I like, so I'm okay with it.
Free League is not a non-profit. I mean, they are trying to make money for
Right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
I
But
mean, if you
yeah.
look at it, I mean, to your point, Scott, you look at Free League, and I am not talking smack about them. I love them, but their most recent RPGs, Twilight 2000, Blade Runner, Aliens, really big names that are going to draw
Yeah.
people. Now, great thing is Mutant Year Zero Engine does a great job of dealing with horror, so Aliens fits in with what they're doing. Same thing with Twilight 2000 is it does make things really gritty, and the one thing that my kids keep saying when we're playing Coriolis is, "Man, this system is brutal." It's awesome. It's a great system. So I can totally see it for those. But I mean, a lot of their most recent IPs are well known IPs.
Yeah, and that's Well, so that's the thing, right? If taking a look at Simba Room and the original game setting and the original rules, and now you were talking about it's going over to a system that is popular for some crowds, is not popular for others. But they've had to start making changes to the base system, which is fifth edition. So, at what point are you no longer playing the system, right, as intended?
That's actually a really good argument, because like even another system, Blades in the Dark, was essentially was it a PBTA, but it's been severely hacked to the point where it doesn't really resemble a PBTA much anymore. But I think a lot of people still consider it, just because of the how the mechanics work in it. The character sheets and everything like that, totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think like when I was thinking about this, my first thought was, you know what? If you're a player, system doesn't really matter. It's all about the setting. And if you're a GM, the system matters more than setting. But then I don't like playing 5e because the system setting doesn't, or the system doesn't really work, even though the setting can be whatever you want. And I think my conclusion that I've come to is that a good setting can carry a bad system to an extent, but a good system could be completely ruined if it's a bad setting.
I was going to say, I don't know that I completely agree with everything you just said. That last statement, I kind of agree with, that a good setting can be ruined by a bad system. But as a GM, I look for the setting now, because that's the important part for me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for settings because I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time to put into world development or whatever. And so, what is something that is going to be fun, gives me a lot of meat to work with. And if I don't like it, I will just change the setting, or sorry, change the system. So, as an example, I've bought more stuff for 5e off of Kickstarter because I'm interested in the setting and it seems interesting. And if I like it enough, I will just convert it to Savage Worlds. That being said, I think that there are some there's something to be said about system and setting. And where I'm going with this is Deadlands. Deadlands Classic, for me, was like the perfect marriage between a really cool setting and a system that totally supported that setting and reinforced that setting in the mechanics itself. It was one of the best systems out there. I really, to this day, I still love Deadlands Classics. I don't play it. I haven't played it in over 20 years, but I love Deadlands Classic when I think about the setting and the system. But I do think that the setting can impact the system can impact the setting, because I think of like Savage Worlds, and Savage Worlds, can it do horror? Yes, it can do horror, but it's not a great system for horror. There's a lot of stuff that make it a little bit like the Benny mechanic. If you want to amp up the horror, you've got to do something to the bennies so that the players have that angst of, man, if I flub this roll, I don't have a way out of it. And that's where like I said, I think Meet New Zero is great for horror settings, because you can still push your roll, but that system is unforgiving in a lot of ways. So, Scott, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an odd one. Like, my premier example is always Eberron. I love Eberron. Eberron is not meant for Dungeons and Dragons. It's just not. It was written that way. It was intended that way. It was a air quotes contest that ended up with the setting. It moved it into every edition, but Eberron works best, honestly, under Savage Worlds, because Savage Worlds encourages that over the top pulp action, where any edition of D&D, you're not going to get that same feeling. The danger, the drama is not really there, no matter what happens. So yeah, I mean, shit, I even helped with with the 5th edition Eberron books, and it's like, god damn, these rules are just so substandard for what you're trying to accomplish. If you guys would just reach out your license, but yeah, I don't know. For me, yeah, damn, I really think system to me matters more than anything, because yeah, I can play anything, but as demonstrated, there are game systems that I just think are hot garbage, and they sound fun on paper, and then once I start playing it, it's 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 a big no, and I just want to stop as soon as possible. You know, like the Cyberpunk game that I was in was just terrible. The system is just boring once you realize the trick to getting around the combat, and it's just it becomes a one trick pony for a lot of stuff. I was like, awesome, I'm done here. Yeah, same thing for fifth edition. It's just like no one can just let go. It could be a great game if people just used the first three books and didn't worry about anything else and forgot about feats. But yeah,
You know, you said something interesting though for me, and that is that um, 50-year-old brain kicks in now and
uh
says, "What the hell was he talking about?"
Eberron, system mattering,
Oh, sounding good
setting.
on paper. Sounding good on paper.
Oh yeah, okay.
There we go.
Damn.
The thing that I find interesting about that though is that you said there are systems that sound good on paper and then you play them and they're garbage. And
Mhm.
Savage, that's one of the things Savage Worlds gets beaten up about a lot of times is they don't think it sounds good on paper, but
No.
when you play it, it's like this perfect melding of everything, and it
Yeah.
plays better than it reads. So it's kind of interesting that setting or systems have that struggle that you can make them sound really good, but then in practice they're not. And I always think of that episode of Malcolm in the Middle. It sounded good on paper.
Oh man.
There are also instances where the setting cannot be separated from the system. Like I just looking at my catalog of games here, Wander Home comes to mind. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Never even heard of it.
Okay,
Wander
it's
Home.
it was a big like indie feel good hit last year. It's like anthropomorphic animals, but no fighting. Like it's like real peaceful, almost like Studio Ghibli adventures. But the system, the setting is real like G rated or maybe PG rated, and the system complements that by being more conversational in nature. And you know it's not crunchy at all. I don't even know if there are any numbers at all. There's a little bit of rolling, dice rolling, but it's a beautiful game in a lot of ways, and it got a lot of love. And but you can't take one without the other in that case. And like there are a lot of examples of that where they're really system and setting are pretty tightly bound.
No, I'm looking at it. For one, it does look adorable.
Yeah,
I love the little dancing mushrooms on their main page.
yeah, that's great.
Especially if you've eaten some mushrooms.
No.
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh
Oh
man.
yes, yes.
But
Um,
that creator actually is launched a new crowdfund. They did it on Indiegogo, and it was an even bigger success. But it's more of like in the same vein of really sort of therapeutic, happy. I mean, there's conflict, but it's not violent, and it's sort of like chill.
yeah,
But
it's kind of meant to be almost like, I don't want to say like feel good, but like it's supposed to be wholesome.
yeah, it's yeah,
Yeah,
you could play it with your kids, or you can play it with people who are just they don't want to like kill things. They want to have a story, but they don't want
yeah.
it doesn't have to be killing all the time. And so that's what this thing does. But if you take that setting and you take Wander Home, or you take this new one, and you try to pair it with another system, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think maybe Fate might be the only thing you could probably do that with.
Sure. Yeah, I guess
And
you could.
but
Yeah, if
that's
you did Fate Core, I would say Accelerated probably would
yeah,
probably.
it's
Yeah,
the only thing I could think of that you might
Yeah.
even.
yeah. Kind of on the flip side, more on the violent side. But even I was while you're talking about that with this, how system can't sometimes be separated from setting, and I actually was thinking of Shadowrun, how the old editions they're very crunchy, like extremely crunchy, really complicated. You needed to know a lot, and if you wanted to be a net runner, you might as well just quit as it was. But then they decided on the newest edition to simplify it. And what was the thing that everyone said? This is hot garbage. Where is all my options? I want the old system back. And it's kind of funny because like that's one of those ones where is this how is the system? Well, personally, I don't think it's that great because I think it just has an over excessive of crunch. But when you remove that, it remove a lot of the core audience who loves that, who wanted, who likes that game, didn't like it because of all the things that now they can't do, which they were previously able to do. So it's kind of interesting how even sometimes, which if anyone's a Shadowrun player who's listening, the setting awesome. I love the setting system. I think that's what's going to scare away 99% of the people, but the people who stay, they don't want that to change.
Yeah. Well, a lot of big games go through that, right? D&D went through that when they hit 4th edition and they got the fucking surprise, welcome to Pathfinder, and they had to fight that battle for years in order to remove Pathfinder as a major competitor. So, yeah.
And now Paizo's making 5e content.
Yeah, I mean, just it all comes around, right? It's just one of those things.
They're doing 5e content. They're also now they have they have the Savage World setting now.
Yep.
I don't know how second edition is. Do you guys have any experience with the second edition of Pathfinder?
It's Pathfinder.
I have the experience of I have the book and it's on my send to the used bookstore. I haven't read it.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally Pathfinder. They changed a couple of things to make it a little bit cleaner, but it's, you're still dealing with that rule set establishment. It's not going to change anything.
Is Pathfinder's setting good? Because obviously they're running it through a bunch of different rule sets now.
So the setting is really cool. It's probably one of the better done fantasy settings because they put so much heart into it. So, I mean, that might be the thing where
that was the thing that got Savage Worlds interested in doing it.
Yeah, because they didn't have
they wanted Galarian.
Yeah.
Or however you pronounce the
whichever
world, but
it's made up, so who cares?
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I guess it's a really good settings. I've never played it.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a cool setting. They got a lot of really cool, the locales, the nations, the deities, everything about it. It really does grab your attention. So I'll give Paizo that. They put a lot of effort into that. I don't know. Then some of these, looking at Wanderhome, just kind of looping back to a conversation about some of these. I guess it's an internet darling, right? These systems. We know statistically online they're not played. We always pull it up and talk about during the show. We can go through and look at the 1% of games played online in different venues that are X game. So, it's like a lot of these games that are internet darlings turn out to be these like one-hit wonders. It's essentially these one-hit wonder RPGs that are either just used personally or they're discussed anecdotally, is what it feels like. Or, people are playing their tables and we're not seeing those reports. But given the last 2 years, I'm not really sure how many games are actually being played at the tables anymore.
What do you mean? We play this at the table all the time. It's the most popular thing in the world because my group does it all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? Those there are people who listen to, Roxette's Joyride constantly too, and it's still a one-hit wonder for that band. Fight me. So I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just there's a little bit of I think there's a little bit of nuance when we're looking at some of these games.
No, and I think a lot of things kind of, especially with systems, they kind of. I think there's almost like a flow. It's almost like fashion, where it's like it's in one season, the next season it's kind of out. And one of the things like Morkborg for the first 3 months of this year, you couldn't turn your head without seeing Morkborg either on Kickstarter, on YouTube, or anything like that. Yeah. Past 2 months, I have not heard a damn word about Morkborg or any systems ever since Cyborg came out of. And also that one with the dinosaur. I think it was called She or something like that.
Dinoborg, who knows?
No, I think it was just called She. It was not an actual. It was setting for it. Or,
Oh, okay. It wasn't
yeah.
another Borg.
No, it was like an adventure where you get eaten by a giant dinosaur, like a giant T-Rex, and you have to fight your way out of it.
Okay.
Are you like a fairy or something? How can you fight?
It's a really big T-Rex.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost kind of like, it's taking inspiration from like, getting consumed by the giant whale, and it's big enough for your whole
that
house.
kind of brings that really, it's a little off topic, but that brings me to something I've really been thinking about with games these days, which is what's their longevity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That kind of game is like one night of entertainment, and
Yep.
like are you really going to play that again? And there's a lot of games like that.
Yep.
A lot of games have this unique sort of flavor that it gives you, and that's really cool. It's awesome that it exists, and that's one of the joys of this hobby. But it also means you're not going to be talking about it. It's just like it's like popcorn. It's just like you eat it and that's it.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It even happens to big publishers. I mean, obviously D&D 5th edition is going to be the one that's played the most, but like Savage Worlds, it's a lot for Savage Worlds to do. But honestly, if you're not playing Deadlands, you're probably not going to find a solid Savage Worlds group online, because 90% of people just want to play Deadlands.
That's not true. I found 3 of them.
Are they all Deadlands?
No.
He found me because I won't run Deadlands because I think the shit's boring.
So there's Scott. There's my Saturday group that is all over the board. And there's my kids, and there's my Friday group, and we all play exclusively online. So
yeah, sure, but I'm talking about like if you look at the face group, or the Facebook group, or Roll20 or any of them, and you look for games, it's just fucking Deadlands.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, God, come on. But to Dave's point, you can do a lot with the system, but yeah, here we are, right? You're gonna do a one-off of like Day After Ragnarok, incredible setting, super fun, but yeah, would I want to rent long term? Honestly, no. As much as I like it, no. It's gonna be that popcorn filler game, and we're gonna go back to it. Like for Dungeon World, when I ran it for you guys, it was cool. It was fun. You guys had a good time, and then you learn the system, and you're like, okay, cool story. Let's do something else. Mothership, I feel is the same way. Awesome. It's all this love. I don't understand it because I don't see the longevity of that game just based on how it is. But we did it. We did the damn thing. We didn't really finish the damn thing, but it was still fun. But I wouldn't want to keep doing a Mothership game for weeks.
Yeah, and even like with that one, like I bought into the hype. I'm waiting for the box set to come, with all the little adventures and things, so I could say, look what I got, and then put it in the closet. But like I was even like when you're talking, I was even like one of, I would say, the big systems right now are PBTAs. But if you go look for a good PBTA game, for one, you're never going to find Apocalypse World. I've looked for it.
Yeah, no.
They don't exist anymore. I don't think that game exists, even though that's the system that started it.
It exists, but
and even like the Sprawl, which is really cool, but you won't see that one. The only ones you'll see nowadays is like Dungeon World, Monster Hearts, and I don't know. Every once in a while I'll see Monsters of the Week, but that one that one's
talking
not
about physical.
Roll20, kind of like when we're searching.
Okay, sorry, yeah, you're talking about Roll20 games.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can't find anyone in person. Actually, off topic. It's funny because I'm doing my very first actual campaign in real person that I'm planning to have more than just like a one shot. And at first I was worried about not finding anyone, and now I'm actually turning people down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm at 5 people, and then I got asked today for a 6, and then I got asked by another person if I could have one, and I'm like, no, I am stopping on 5. I cannot do any more.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, not now.
Yeah, people don't realize how tough it is to juggle that amount of human beings.
Maybe once you guys all die, one person goes off because their work schedule now doesn't impact it, then I'll invite another.
Damn. God damn.
Yeah.
Just follow Carrie's method, and when people die, you let somebody else in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Characters.
Sorry.
Clarify.
Well, let's just be clear. I know Santa. I stand by what I said.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a brand new game now. Granted, it's powered by the apocalypse, but it's kind of in a sweet spot of also Blades in the Darkish, probably a little leaning towards that. But it's a brand new game that launched last year. Kickstarter came out. I finally got the book. It's a superhero game, and most people probably have never even heard of it, which is kind of your point, Santa. You know, it's this massive fucking tome too, massive
Yep.
hardback tome, and it's just like cool story. Don't see it anywhere.
And we will never know the name of it.
Not a chance. Not a chance. That maybe people do their own research.
Yep.
I'm not here to educate you.
Is it that City in
Galaxies
the
in Peril.
Mist?
No, it's Galaxies in Peril.
Oh yeah, I know the guy who made
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a very clever idea. What got me was the base building part. I was like, oh, that's cool. You took the Blades in the Dark and really twisted that around to build the superhero base.
Right.
That's neat. But
So wait, what's the game called again? City of Mist?
no, you fucking idiot. Galaxies in Peril.
I know. That's another one you see up for PBTAs, though.
Yeah, that's really popular for. Let's not get into that again. I don't want to deal with this.
Those guys wrote a cyberpunk game that I reviewed called Hack the Planet.
Yep.
I thought that was an awesome game.
Yeah, Hack the Planet did pretty well. But yeah, it's like, God damn, you try to find these games and it's just, it's like son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And it's tough convincing people to play it. And I don't know if we've talked about this before in general on the podcast, but it's really comes down to time and money for a lot of folks. And it's why online is a little bit easier because people sail the high seas with one another. Usually when they're like, look, you don't have to buy the PDF, wink, wink. And I'll just walk you through the system, wink, wink. And I think you can convince people of that methodology. But when it comes at the table, I mean, yeah, you're definitely in a lot of trouble.
One of the
go ahead, Dave.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say one of the ways you might find groups to play with these more obscure games is go to their Discord.
Yep.
I find a lot of LFGs on specific Discords.
Yep.
That's how I found my one and only Fate game. It got weird and I left.
Did they introduce sex moves?
No. It's just like
just for you, Scott.
It wasn't that they were doing sex moves. It was just
it was how they were doing.
Exactly.
It was Monster Hearts went ASMR.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I do have a Kickstarter. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to send it on the chat here so you can be on the same page.
All right.
It's called Everyday Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing, and this goes back to the topic of the episode here, but this is a Kickstarter in which these guys managed to secure the license for 8 action movies.
Yeah.
Famous ones, beloved ones. But they're tying them all to this D20. It's a 5e version of D20 Modern.
Yep.
I'd like to know everyone's thoughts on that.
I have avoided this because the first time I saw the advertisement was for Rambo, the RPG. And I'm like, how do you make Rambo an RPG? That concept annoyed me enough that I was like, okay, I want nothing to do with this because of that. If I'd seen one of the other ones first, like maybe Pacific Rim, I might have taken a bigger look at it. But when I looked at it even further, it's like the core rules and these books are completely separate. And it almost sounds like if I was, and I haven't read the Kickstarter for a while, but it almost sounded like those different settings are dependent on stretch goals, which I could, like I said, could be completely wrong. But I don't know. I had no interest in this mainly because 5e, D20 Modern, and Rambo were the first things that hit me.
Do any of you guys think that these settings could work with 5e?
I'm kind of having some issues because Like, I think maybe because I'm looking at it, like, I don't know how it would work with the Crow. Universal Soldier, maybe. Total Recall, maybe. Rambo, I don't know. Highlander, I don't get it. Aren't Highlander? I like that one. I'm so confused on. I
Everyone
don't
has a
know what.
Vorpal sword.
Well, there can only be one until you get to season or the second movie.
Right, yeah.
There's apparently more than
The
one.
second movie doesn't exist. You can see there's no two next to it, so it's just Highlander. And like when I saw this, I thought, "Oh, that looks cool. Everyday Heroes. It's probably going to be like an action movie type style thing." And then I saw that it was hooked up to the 5e system, and I was like, "So all they're going." I feel like that would require way more dynamic theater of the mind esque kind of combat. And then when you throw it into the 5e setting, all I'm thinking to myself is like, so you're going to be moving your peg around the board or like your little miniature, and then you're going to sit there and you're going to attack or you're going to shoot, but it's not going to capture the right feel. And
I agree with that. In a system versus setting question, I would love to play each one of these settings, but with their own specialized rules. They're
Yeah.
all really interesting concepts for an RPG, I think. But
except for Highlander.
And Rambo. I of all the ones on there, Rambo's the one that drives me nuts the most.
Rambo is probably because it's such a specific story about a guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right about that. But I think Highlander could be because I mean, you ever watch the show? There were like
Right.
there were immortal, there were Highlanders all over the place. They were like constant.
Mhm.
But yeah, and none of them, in my opinion, fit 5e. I think it's
The only one that maybe, in my opinion, could maybe Pacific Rim.
Yeah,
Because Pacific Rim's over the top, right? I mean, that one maybe, but I still think that there's probably a better system for it than 5e.
Well,
Yeah,
then again, Pacific Rim doesn't really need to have any actual role play, and it's just big stompy robots. So I think it could fit 5e pretty well.
Well, there's already a game for that.
Yeah.
It's called Lancer.
Yeah.
Yep. I've talked about that one a few times, and I also got I backed the what is it, Tiny D6 system for their mecha versus
Right.
monsters, which it's neat, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it too simplified or what?
I could see it being like. I feel like it shouldn't have been its own system. I feel like it should have been a supplement for their sci-fi setting, just because you can really summarize it pretty quickly. And the book itself, it's 200 and something pages, but only about 70 of that is actually, how do you play the game. The rest of it's all just, oh, here's a micro setting, here's a micro setting,
Yeah.
and it's neat. But if I knew what I knew right now, I probably would have said, don't buy it for the artwork, Santa. Buy it for the actual.
Well, I mean, the tiny system rules is like 5 pages long in every book they do. It's not like the complicated system.
No, and
so most of the things they do, it's a waste of space when it comes to art and micro settings and advice and shit.
Yeah, but this one, I feel like honestly, there's even less for the rules. I think.
Sure. But for like this Everyday Heroes, you're looking at, I don't know, what's one of the action movies? Let's say, let's just do the Rambo, right? So you're playing Rambo under D20 Modern. So what level is Rambo? 9th, 13th, 20th, whatever. So that's about, let's say you and your team are going to sneak back into Vietnam. And you're going to rescue people, and you got to take on the remnants of the VC or whatever the hell is there that you're taking on. And they're all, I don't know, 3rd to 5th level fighters with some 9th level fighters thrown in, right? Because that's what it's good. Just getting around my head around it. So they're going to have 50, 60 hit points. The guns are going to do 2d10. Get the fuck out of here. That is the most boring fucking firearms combat system I can imagine.
I think maybe Escape from New York you could do it, because Escape from New York, guns were not they were there, but they were extremely rare.
Right. But the problem is, it comes into what we talked about last week, right? Is even if you have them rare and say your characters get cornered and you've got 2 or 3, I don't know, locals now in Escape from New York who point submachine guns at you, and you're 5th level at this point.
Yeah.
you're not going to hesitate to fight them.
Yeah, but
Even
if
though
you
thematically you should hesitate because they realistically they're going to dump 9mm 45 rounds into you,
but they might
and
only have like 9, and that's just it. They may
you
have
know.
the guns, but the ammunition, especially if it's like it's done like
So
you're not
let
playing
me tell
as
you something
Snake Plissken.
let me tell you something as a combat veteran. I don't give a fuck how many bullets you have. One is too many to come at me on a 2-way range. that's the reality of things, right? Whereas other game systems, kind of like Dave we were getting to, is like there are other systems that would deal with the lethality or the reality of a lot of these settings far better. And how they got all these licenses. I mean, D. Todd Scott and Jeff Grubb. It's not like they're nobodies. They're connected, and they go way back in gaming. So, and so have some of the rest of the folks that have joined him on the team. So it's not like it's me getting lucky and doing a $300,000 Kickstarter project and securing all these licenses.
No, that's fair.
But
Yeah.
And they picked 5e because it's the most marketable, I guess.
Oh yeah, bro. I mean, absolutely, right?
But like, what is that Crow game going to be like?
It's a pout.
Well, even in the very intro of the campaign, the first sentence, Everyday Heroes, the spiritual successor to D20 Modern, now based on 5th edition, the most popular RPG system in the world. I have a feeling when this comes out, you're going to hear about it the moment it gets released, and maybe for about a week as people put out a couple of reviews, the ones that get the pre-release copy saying how great it is. And then you're going to get a couple negative reviews from people who, got it because they actually had to pay for it. And then you're going to hear nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, that's true of almost like 99.9% of
yeah. Fuck, I'm standing right here. You don't hear shit about them, and it's like whatever. I got my artistic, I don't know, joie de vivre on paper. I don't give a shit. Well received, not well received. Hopefully I gave you something that made you go, well, that's pretty neat ideas. And then most people, just like Dave said, you put it on your shelf and you're done.
100% true on that one.
Just is what it is. Thank God I don't write games to eat off of, because holy jaw, Jesus Christ.
Oh God. I every time I look at Twitter and it's like, you'll find a few of the creators who are just like, I saw one the other day and it's just like, man, someone asked me, it's like, whoa, how do I get into tabletop games? And I just want to tell them, you can't make money off of it. I'm just like, are you doing it for the right reason then? Because I think the first thing you said to me, Scott, like when we're not the first thing, but like while we're talking about tabletops and designing, you're like, you don't do it to make money. You will. There's a good chance you will never make any money off of it, and the money you put in that you do is going to go off of finishing the product that you kickstarted. And
oh God, that's so what has happened to me.
I
I did a Kickstarter late last year, and I'm a little in the red on it, and it'll be done, and I'm happy that I did it and everything, but like it was like probably a pretty typical experience where it's just, which the thing is you see the motherships and you see the avatars and you see the big things and you think that's all there is.
Yeah.
But when you really dig down, it's like that's 1 in 100, and most of them are just barely scraping by and making $10,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
100%.
So I got to live that. That was fun.
Yeah, it's just rough, but yeah, man.
No, like even though Russ, he did he was on our podcast a while ago, and he's doing Nueto, right? And one thing he said to us is like, honestly, he's like, I'm just happy I have it out there, but I know most of the money is just gonna be poured straight back into the game.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I didn't have anything to say. I was just, I agree with that.
It's a project to love. If you really like doing something and you want to try and make it a reality, like even if there's, I know we're way off topic on this, but if there's no money in it, but you love doing it, do it because you love it. Like that's really what it all comes down to. Does it give you some quality? Do you enjoy doing it? And does it give you something in your just not normal everyday life? If the answer is yes, fucking do it. If the
Yeah.
answer is I just want to get money from it,
Yeah.
it's going to suck. It's not going to be that good.
You know, I think that the most successful ones, and I'm thinking specifically of the guy who does Mothership, but a lot of creators, if you're able to garner a following
Hmm.
Mhm.
and you can get them to play test your shit, and basically you not crowdfund, you crowdsource the work
Yeah.
of playtesting,
Yep.
and that in itself develops and like an inbuilt following.
Yeah.
Then you might have a chance actually at making real money. But it's more than just making a game. You have to be a community creator
Yeah.
and a manager of a community.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, I still don't understand the mothership thing. I just more power to them. But yeah, I still don't understand that one at all and how they made that much money. It's amazing.
Well, they released it for free, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like holy shit.
And then it got boosted on Questing Beast. I
That's
remember when that
right.
came
Yeah.
out, and that a lot of people downloaded it. That's step zero. Get
Yeah.
people to download it, and then if you can get them to play it, you're practically made. But he nurtured a community, and he kind of let people make their own third party stuff for it, and he let that simmer, and he built up an email list for like 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
and then he launched 1E Mothership 1E. So he approached it
Smart.
systematically.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to, again, like it's a labor of love for him. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily like he's probably blown away that he made that much, and he probably was expecting to just make make the amount that you actually need to make on the Kickstarter, wherever you put that total on. So
Yeah.
he was
Yeah,
also
he
offered a good.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he believes. I mean, he really is like, he's a genuine guy. He
Yeah.
believes in what he's doing. He tries to make his game better constantly. So, I mean, and I think people can sense that too. Like,
Yeah.
if they sense that you're a true believer and not just trying to make money, they're probably more likely to gravitate towards your product and your community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that's wow. We got so philosophical here.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We sound like we know what we're talking about.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Quick
I'm just
finder,
trying to
say
think-
something.
I'm just trying to think of like systems or settings that are hot garbage but have great setting or systems. I'm looking. Hold on.
And I think the
I'm
thing
gonna look at
is,
my bookshelf.
I think a lot of times those things kind of get lost because if the setting sucks.
Yeah.
The system, no matter how great it's going to be, is always going to fall to the sideline because,
Yeah.
yeah, like
I guess we kind of talked about that, right? Like Savage, or Jesus Christ, not Savage World.
stop talking about Savage World.
Shadowrun and Pathfinder, right? Great settings, but oh my god, I did never want to play those games.
Yeah, I always wanted to get into Shadowrun, but I heard such bad things that I just can't do it.
I looked at it and like I've even built a couple characters and I was like, you know what, the character creation itself, it's neat. It's neat. I read the rules and then I had to watch a YouTube video of someone building a character in order to fully understand what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But and the rules themselves, like it's just a ton of dice that you're throwing. And there's a lot. It comes down more to like the fact that there's just so many modifiers that you have to watch over, and I'm sure like you could simplify it in some way, but this kind of goes back to an episode we did a long time ago. But it's the system itself, the one before they pretty much simplified it to the point where it's not as big of people aren't, it alienated its core audience. It was trying to simulate the world that they wanted to portray. And for a simulation RPG, I think it was doing exactly what the people who were playing it wanted to do. And that was pretend they were in that world with all the little stupid idiosyncrasies, the weather, the how far they are. It was perfect for that. And then the moment that they switched to like, I haven't really fully looked into the system itself for the new edition, but I just heard it was simplified to the point where it's kind of lost its magic.
Well, I mean, and they did Shadow and Anarchy, which was even less well received. So
Yeah, the writing for Shadowrun though, God, those books alone, like the older ones,
yeah, it's good stuff.
yeah, worth picking up just to read the lore and the story.
Yeah. It's like I said about Night City in the Cyberpunk 2020 setting. I love the setting. I just do not like the system whatsoever.
Yeah, Red Cyberpunk Red is an interesting book.
Yeah, but I mean, so I guess I answered my own question, but I realized we've already discussed a bunch of things, so that's good.
Yeah, no, it's we're getting close. Actually, it was a very nice conversation. We're already hitting 55 minutes, man.
Oh my god, are we really?
Yeah, I just looked at the clock for the first time and I was like, shit, we're at 55.
So, what's your second question?
Yeah, that was only the first question, dummy.
What? You're so nice to me. What I
It's because he loves you.
That's right.
no,
If you had
yeah.
pigtails, he'd be pulling them.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
oh. No, the second one was actually and I think we've kind of answered it too in a way, but it was, would the set is one more important for a player versus a GM?
oh, yeah.
So I think we've kind of like answered that. Unless did we talk about
I
that?
kind of have some input on that. I think that with players, specifically, I think that when they're new, I think that it matters very little,
Yeah.
like the system or the setting. But as they, as they play more RPGs, I think that they develop a taste for specific things, specific feelings, and types of thrills. And it's just like drinking. Like when you're starting out drinking as a teenager, you're drinking wine coolers. It doesn't matter. You're just with your
Yeah.
friends and you're getting drunk. But like by the time you're 40 or 50, you have tastes. You're not going to be drinking wine coolers no matter what. You have specific things that you want to drink, and you have your preferences.
Yeah, well, I think it kind of. I think there's it definitely, that is definitely true, but I think it kind of goes both ways. Because there's the people who they've played 5e and that's it for them. They're fine with just that. They don't feel like going anywhere else. That is just what they'll do, and people do the same thing with video games. That's why Call of Duty, even though it's kind of faltered over the past couple of years, because people have caught on that they've made the same game for the past 20 years. But people generally, they like things that are comfortable, things that are safe, and I think that's the thing with D&D is it's one that's big enough that they can always say, "Oh, look at this thing that's new," even though it's not really that new. It's just changing up a couple of little things. But then there is like the people that you said who look into it and realize, I'm kind of not enjoying. Like for me, I really didn't like combat, and I didn't like the role play aspect of 5e, and that's what made me branch out to different systems to see and find if I like something else. And so I think there really is two people. There's the person who wants to keep on playing the same thing, and then there's the person who wants to try and tailor the experience to best suit their wants.
Well, there is so 5e came out in 2014, so it's been about 8 years.
Yeah.
Are there people out there who have been playing 5e for 8 years and still want to play 5e?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, so we're going to put a pin in the conversation if we're going to add a third player to meet in the middle between Santa and Dave's theories, because you guys are on the same track. But I'm trying my hardest to come back to it. I write down my fucking iPad real fast. But yeah, like I was one of those people. I grew up playing the original Dungeons and Dragons and then the Red Box. And it took a long time for me to get out of that habit of, if it wasn't Dungeons and Dragons, then it ain't shit. And I wasn't playing shit. And then I learned how to play Shadowrun first edition when it came out. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Shit. And then Rollmaster and other systems, Palladium, and I started stretching out. But it is really difficult. And we're talking like 10 years old to 10 to like 18, 19. Just just Dungeons and Dragons. That was it. We didn't play it that was all we were going to play, and we're going to do it over and over and over. And I'm not really sure why, but yeah, it definitely happens. So for the thing of meeting in the middle of this, so let's add genre, because there are some people who it's not just system and setting, it's going to be genre as well, which I think is where Dungeons and Dragons starts pinning a lot of things. It has a very generic setting. I know it has Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk and shit, but the system works for people, but the genre may be what works more. We've discussed this before, is like fantasy is such an easy button to push for most people.
Well, in a way, I think the one thing I'm going to give 5e always is they have a lot of building blocks to build the fantasy system of your choice. Like, as long as you don't want things to be quick death, but if you want it to be Tolkien-esque, that's super easy. If you wanted to do like the Shadow Realm, kind of a little bit more edgy, you can easily do that. If you wanted to be in a town, city, you can really tailor the setting however you want, because it gives you enough building blocks, either through creatures or things like that will really help you out. And even character classes, like you can do a ranger that's mostly a ranger that's based in a city, and that totally works for it. And they've left it vague enough to where you can put everything in it, but have enough building blocks that are specific where you can still flesh out a world that you wanted.
Yeah, in today's point, you got 11 billion players built in.
Yeah, it's easy to find a game.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, let's go and roll 20 right now and look at any system.
It's just king. It's top of the pops, man. It just is what it is. Any VTT, you can find people who want to play 5th edition, and which is fine. I was looking for a Dungeon Crawl Classics game today, and there was all of fucking 3 listed, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. Please, someone kill me. Jesus Christ. Such a much better system for doing what you all want to do.
Well, if you want to play Dungeon Crawl Classics, I'm willing to try it out. I've never played it. It sounds intriguing. So
I know I need to run it for you guys, and it's just like, or have you guys run it.
Actually, here's what we have: Santa run it for us.
What?
What?
I don't even got the books for that one. I can't.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's just one of those things where sometimes I'm like, like with Dungeon World, I got to get out of my system, and then I'm good for a little while.
No, yeah.
I will say though, Scott, I was surprised that you stuck with D&D as long as you did, because back in the day, you and I have a similar pedigree. I mean, we both started around the same time.
Yeah,
started with the same Dungeons and Dragons. But as soon as TSR released Star Frontiers, I was all over Star Frontiers. As soon as TSR released Boot Hill, I was all over Boot Hill. My brothers got me into Traveler. So yeah, back in the 80s, I was all over the place in terms of gaming, especially if TSR put it out. I mean, like Gamma World, loved Gamma World. So TSR could do no wrong. I still stuck with that company, but the thing about TSR back in the day is their games were all different. Like they didn't all use D&D engine, which I find interesting, because like you look at Free League and most of their games use Mutant Year Zero. Not all of them, but most of them. Most of your Wizards of the Coast stuff is going to use 5e, and it's kind of weird how companies have kind of formed around a system that they use in different settings.
That's smart. Your player base doesn't have to learn anything new, and you can sell it easier. That's exactly. Really the big thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've admitted it before, as someone who's designed now 2 games that aren't fantasy. I don't like non-fantasy. I like fantasy. I've watched all of the Mythica movies. Like, they're not good, but I like it because I'm willing to entertain it, because they're the closest thing to a Dungeons and Dragons saga put to film. So it's like, yeah, I don't know, man, but I've always been that way. I want
to wait until that Dungeons and Dragon movie with Chris Pine comes out.
It's gonna be so fucking bad.
It's gonna be the best movie ever. Come on, we all know.
God damn, they should just give the fuck up.
So here, Scott. Here's what I think you should check out the game Black Void.
I know, I have it. You
because
keep
that
you,
is
you
built
pitched
as
this to me.
it's billed as a fantasy
Yeah.
game, but to me, I read it and I
Yes.
see the elements of fantasy, but I
Yes.
also see the elements of sci-fi that are the things that I crave because I love playing
Yeah.
sci-fi games.
Yeah, I know, and that's just my problem. Like, I had, I owned Star Frontiers when it came out, and I was like, this is interesting. But I don't know, man. I'm one of those people, and I still struggle with it today. Like, if we're gonna, that was probably why my Deadlands game died here physically, because I, like a fucking idiot, I'll put options out for people. I'm like, here's the things that I'm willing to run, and then of course people pick the one fucking thing that I don't really want to do, and I'm just like, God damn it,
Let's be fair though to you.
Yeah.
You had a guy that wanted to play a 20-foot tall.
God damn it! Yeah, that fucking idiot. That stupid son. You're right. I think it might have been the players, because I did get psyched. I started watching all kinds of old West movies, and I'm like I said, I grew up in Arizona with this shit, so my hometown is basically 1875, fucking constantly. So it's like, okay, cool story, but yeah, I don't know, man. Everything I do is like, oh, okay, how about you find a magic sword?
check out Black Void. If you haven't read Black Void yet, read Black Void, because I think that might be right up your alley.
I could have swore I went through Black Void and it looked overly complicated as a system.
The system may be. I haven't read the books. I've read the setting part of it. That just, I'm like, anyway, that sounds awesome.
Now we're definitely.
It's unfortunate that Scott hit on this like huge third dimension of the conversation, which is genre.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about it too much.
Sorry.
Does genre matter? Of course it does, but don't have enough time for that.
Well, we usually try and keep it an hour, but we fail at that quite regularly.
No, that's fine. You should just save it for another episode. But it is an interesting question. Like, genre is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's different from system and setting. It's its own thing.
No, that's definitely true.
So what we've learned though is that there's three pillars, right? You've got system, setting, and genre, because it's a three-legged stool. It sounds like. So
it is.
I think Dave brought up a good point.
Well, I there was a whole other thing I didn't bring up either, and I think it's just the people factor.
Oh yeah.
Like just if you find a group that is energetic and just interested and funny or whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
If you're into like Vampire the Masquerade type stuff, and your players, your table is real moody and they take shit seriously and they don't joke around, like whatever it is that like gets you off, like if you find them, it doesn't matter. Like the system, the setting, the genre doesn't matter. It's like the people matter.
Yeah.
In that case.
Absolutely. I'm a Toreador, third generation.
Right.
You will respect me at the table.
So this brings something else to mind, and that is, you think of LARPers.
Yeah.
Most of the LARPs that I ever see anymore is all White Wolf games.
Well,
I don't know if does anybody. I mean, aside from Tom Hanks, does anybody LARP D&D?
It's fucked up. Maybe. I mean, the SCA, is that still a thing that's around?
Good point. I don't know. Actually, I think it is. If it's not, then it's only been gone within the past couple of years.
There's 3 SCA people right now. Yeah. We don't cast spells, you jerk off.
And now I'm putting into that YouTube video. Fireball, fireball, fireball.
Right, yeah. That's not SCA.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is probably one of those times where us getting off way too off topic a few times definitely kind of hurt, because now it's like you mentioned genre, and I'm like, that would be so cool.
Let's do a part 2.
And we might have to do a part 2 if Dave, you're down.
Yeah, I might be down.
Dave's audience doesn't leave him after this.
he's like, no, I don't want you to publish this episode anymore.
You fucking tag me, I'll sue you.
We have to bleep out all of Dave's commentary.
Yeah. It's just like, who's talking right now? There isn't anyone saying anything.
I'm just really glad I got to shit on Everyday Heroes with you guys.
You know what? If you ever have anything you want to shit on, let us know. We will join you in a heartpot.
Yeah,
except for Savage Worlds, I won't shit on that.
I take pot shots at Peg all the time.
Well, taking pot shots is one thing. Taking a shit is another.
Yeah.
Let's talk about chases.
Yeah, but something you kind of said, and I floated this idea, and I'd be willing to have anyone who really wants to try it out. Um, because I'm a brand new kind of like GM. I've only done like little one shots, nothing crazy, right? And I suggested this where instead of like us watching over people doing actual plays and kind of picking apart the do's don'ts, I was thinking, why don't I do an actual play with you guys? And Dave, you're more than welcome to join on this, where we play like a whole session of something, maybe like one little adventure, and then you just rip the shit out of me with everything I did wrong.
That's why I recommended you GM the Dungeon Crawl Classics game, though, because you floated that idea, so that's why I threw that out.
Yeah. Please don't do it to me. I had to live that shit through a con of a boring fucking DCC game.
No, I would do something that suits my kind of genre.
Low life.
I mean, you really should run low life because that's the system. The setting is good for your personality. So, Dave, if you're not tracking, if you ever listen to the podcast, which I don't blame you, Santa has a problem where Santa is one of those players that I like to have around because he can keep me on my toes as a GM, but he's a fucking annoying player because everything is like, oh, I'm a giant Twinkie with honey pots. It's just like, not everything has to be gonzo. Your elf can be normal. Your elf can just live in the fucking woods and be a regular ass old elf and not be weird at all or anything.
My Dungeon World elf was normal.
We're not normal. Anyway, no. So Santa has this proclivity for being super weird and about things. Not weird. It's gonzo, right? You do enjoy gonzo. Like Paranoia is one of the games you want to play. And it's why I think if you're going to do something and you really wanted feedback and so we could redeem our condescension from the GM episode, that would be perfect. But
Santa, you'll never be a Toreador.
You can't fucking join us. You're part of the Poors clan. You fucking Malkavian.
No, seriously, that's what I played. I always played Malcav.
I know way too much about a game that I cannot stand. I watched that fucking documentary. I just sat there in awe.
I know which one you're talking about. I saw it too.
Yeah. It was like, it makes me want to play vampire. At the same time, it confirms everything I believe about vampire culture.
What documentary?
Oh, it's World of Darkness on Prime.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool, actually. It kind of shows you like how the RPG scene really changed significantly in the 90s. So, and Vampire was right in front, leading the charge. So they just, they made a game from someone like my wife and not someone like me. It's the reality.
Interesting.
She's super into vampires and the occult and all that stuff. And I'm just like,
hey, who was into the occult here? I was listening to another one of your episodes.
Mm-hmm. I don't think any of us are in the occult.
Which one?
Who's the secret Satanist?
I said I like watching like ghost videos on YouTube.
God damn it. I thought one of you guys said you really read a lot of occult stuff.
That might be me.
Yeah, I think that's Scott because
there's like an occult Kickstarter that I saw it and I thought you might be interested. Oh,
what's the Kickstarter? Is it Task Force Raven? Because that one's going to succeed.
No, I know which one you're talking about.
That one's doing really well.
It was a book. It was more about cults. And
it was like a guide to occults, and it looked pretty well done. I'll try and find it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it too. But either way, so Finder, what did we learn today?
We learned that there is a game where you get to play Dinosaur Indigestion.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that we totally didn't even think about genre, and it took somebody outside of the core group to bring that to our attention, that we're a bunch of idiots. So
we're just pretending, remember?
but we failed at our role-playing today. We're not as smart as we role play.
Look, you're gonna have to convince me some way that that whole stupid ass "I'm inside of a Tyrannosaurus Rex" isn't someone getting even with their fucking dungeon master who made their character get swallowed by a purple worm at some point and wouldn't let them fight their way out. Anyway, I'm sorry. I digress.
And Dave, for anyone who's interested in following you on any of your social medias, where can they best find you?
Just Dave Thaumavore on YouTube is probably the only thing I really care about at this point. I mean, I was on Twitter. I am on Twitter, but man, I'm not really a Twitter guy.
No, I feel you. I do Twitter, and to be fair, I've actually met some really nice folks on there.
Me too, for sure.
Yeah,
it's a mixed bag. It's definitely a mixed bag.
It is. Yeah.
If I'd actually write stuff, I might meet some nice people on Twitter. But
yeah, the only thing you did was try and get people to like a certain episode.
I couldn't even do that.
Yeah, that was for your own nefarious deeds. Haha, sucks to be you. We're not that big.
you got 2 likes.
Yep. Oh well. Yeah, and thanks for everyone for joining us. Dave, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
You were a lot of fun. Come back any
Yeah.
day. We'd love to have you. And if you ever want to try and do a horrible campaign with me, you could join for that too.
You can be a Twinkie person or a cockroach person.
Yeah, you can be a Twinkie, a cockroach, or
We'll explain later.
You could also be a worm.
True statement.
Yeah.
Or a pile of poo.
Yep. And if you like this episode, send me an email at rpsmartpeople@gmail.com. And if you hated this episode, send me a tweet on Twitter at rpsmartpeople. I hope you guys had a good week, and we'll hope to see you again next time. See you later.
Bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.
I'm logging in Twitter now.